big play day. And all I can picture is, the last we left 7th Heaven was the interview after they beat Giants in the last play day. ED, he was very fired up. He talked about the positive energy the team has been able to muster up and how that's helped them kind of steady their ship. And now we haven't really seen them play Oregon for a couple of play days, but I don't know, it just again feels like they really are on this upwards trajectory. I'm feeling good about it.
Ray, not happy with that ban whatsoever. That's grouse. Nice way to start out, taking Ash away, Raven. Now, I don't know how much we spoke about the Giants game that 7th Heaven were just able to take in their previous match day. But that is certainly something that we can't really look past. Both of these teams have beaten Giants on Chalet this season. Wild to think. But definitely, you were just mentioning, the courage and the, I would say, the relaxed vibes that 7th Heaven brought to that interview, I think could work an absolute treat here against the top team in the APAC South Division thus far. Anything of note other than the Ash ban, Raven?
Look, I mean, Nomad is a pretty solid ban. Ironically, it's on the part of Elevate that's done it, but I feel like that also helps 7th Heaven because Elevate are a team that are very notorious for hard to pin down on their defenses. So either way, that's going to really assist the roam game. And now the Wamai ban as well, also very strong at Oregon. Wamai heavily leaned on the basement defenses, holding pillar, for example, or even elbow. So getting rid of that means there's going to be a heavy reliance on Jaeger. And with the nerf that he's had coming into this season, with the 10-second cooldown on his ADSs now, it's not as difficult to clear that out.
Okay, this could be the last hurdle that Elevate have in their way to securing themselves as stage champions. We've obviously still got a match up tomorrow that will play great significance because it is Knights who are on their heels right now, but first and foremost, there is no doubting it. They need to secure this. A T-Chunky boy has been brought, Raven. This is the first time it's seen in my eyes. Oh, how fresh this is going to be.
Yeah, look, I'm super excited to see what Spirited does with the Tachenka. Guess just using it for the rotates for one. I mean, they haven't brought a primary shotgun otherwise. In fact, nobody even has a secondary shotgun, so he is the rotate guy. And of course, the changes to Tachenka, that LMG does create beautiful, very swift rotates. He's actually a pretty decent replacement for a smoke. Obviously, his fire pits from his grenade launcher don't last quite as long as a smoke bait, but they are pretty good for area denial and even plant denial. So, I'm excited to see how this is utilized.
Somewhat of a unique setup. I mean, we're seeing a Rooney played more and more each playday nowadays, it feels, but I feel like Kids Dorms, we have seen a Rooney taken quite a bit, and obviously in that position, double window is currently being gated off, as well as Trophy and the left side of the game's wall from the defender's side. So that's a big one to keep a note on, as realistically, Pika finds the first pick onto Onigiri. Raven, this is the player that caused so much confusion for Giants a little less than one play day ago, and it looks like he may just do the same here against Elevate.
Yeah, Pika really did have a field day against Giants, particularly on his attacks. Sledge on entry, I remember in particular, he just got 2 absolute drive-bys through Trophy window. And this one happened to be a drive-by. It looked like he just came in from that shower's hallway towards kitchen. Pre-fired through the dining wall into small tower and nailed it. So yeah, dangerous player. And this is a great start for 7th Heaven to have taken Onigiri off the board.
And it is. Pika has been spotted trying to fire back. Just needs to stay alive for now. Burning away so much time in the meantime. Souffle has gone down, but he's not out just yet. I don't know how much they know. Angry will find it, and they are doubling down right now. Elevate, after losing the first man, have well and truly been able to claw this round back. And now it's all on the Tachanka and the Aruni.
Oh. Great swing from Spirited, though. Takes out an APU. That's going to equal it out just a little bit, but it really is going to be tough on site here for ED and Spirited. Still over a whole minute to go. Elevate do have time up their sleeve, and they do have good operators left alive to get things done. 2 hard breaches, Zofia as well. Lots of utility in the pocket for Zofia.
Oh, just catching out the backside there. Angry, unfortunate not to catch off Spirited. ED's getting lit up from underneath. Forced to back away. Such early contact in the round here. Spirited looking to isolate that engagement. He will not be able to come out successful, and now it's all on to ED. Has had a couple of big games, but Sapper will well and truly put him in the grave, and that too successfully takes round number 1 for Elevate.
Yeah, good round from Elevate. They lost that opening pick of Onigiri, which for a Dorms attack as well, losing a buck early can be a little detrimental. There's a lot of good places to get vertical into games or in Dorms. So it was a good opening pick, but Elevate stepped it up. Napier in particular got a quick double there in the middle of that round to really bring it back onto their terms. So that's a good sign for Elevate going forward in these attacks.
Something you want to be wary of as well. I think you mentioned it, just the aggression that we've seen from Elevate as well as Seventh Heaven. It's sure to keep us on our toes. The Jackal being brought to do exactly that, to ensure that Seventh Heaven remain somewhat under wraps, because you definitely cannot allow Pika to run amok. We've seen what he's been able to do in the past. The Giants were on the receiving end of that. So they will want to be cautious moving in further and further into their defense. However, for now, we are going back and re-attempting Dorm's site. Not too successful, but also not too unsuccessful. I don't know. It's kind of a strange one for me for Seventh Heaven right now. But the big change, obviously, is seeing that smoke being brought in for the Tichanka, and that is the only change we've seen on Seventh Heaven's side. And obviously that Jackal will well and truly keep Seventh Heaven honest to begin with.
Yeah, we'll make roaming around a bit trickier. I'm a bit sad, that they got off that Tichanka pick, Manic, because I really don't think we got a good chance to see exactly maybe how they intended to use it on site, but it's what it is. We'll see the smoke back. Pocket of Spirited here, and it doesn't look like there's a massive amount changed up for Seventh Heaven. Souffle, though, in Garage, super aggressive to start this round.
Problem is, right now, if the Jackal was able to spot those footsteps, he would be in all sorts of trouble. They would be able to cut him off from every which direction. Currently got one out just outside of the main van and lobby, so they could technically hold this back right now. Pika has not really changed too much here, Raven, and still playing quite aggressive. Napier maybe on the receiving end of this. Pika, not enough of a hole to move through, apparently.
No, looks like it's going to get fixed up, though. Still keen to try and stick this out. I honestly thought he was just going to drop through the hatch, and maybe that's the play now. Nope, sits on the edge, and Souffle is the one that's actually found that opening pick. He's now in Classroom Manic, so again, Seventh Heaven. Little elusive on this starting roam, but it's continued to fall apart for them in round 1. They just need to be able to hold on to it a bit longer here in round 2.
I think the big thing right now for Seventh Heaven is they're not sticking around. Pika has been able to take that pick and back away to security. It will allow Onigiri to continue to push and put pressure into Kitchen, but for now, they still have enough to maneuver around, and the more this time starts to burn, the more it's really going to become a factor with the smoke play. Just like that, ED's going to put salt into those wounds, making this an even harder task than it already is.
This roam clear has been so slow in the end. I think Pika is still hanging out, and oh my lord, Souffle with a great trade there, and Elevate have just fallen apart trying to go for this roam. Maybe they've just tried to do too much, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's a 2v4, still got about 45 seconds, and looks like Sapper has managed to get the wall open, but there is a Surrogate in his way and a Banshee on the entry there. So it's going to be tough, but he does find Spirited.
Okay, Spirited somewhat just steps a little bit too far out of place, and now it's allowed Angry to progress a little bit further into Trophy. So, keeping an eye on this, we've got two players coming from a very similar direction. That Aruni gate is currently down, so Sapper will be able to be pushed in undetected, but ED holds a firm line. Angry trying to get something done. But this has been a much, much better round for Seventh Heaven. Angry with nothing left to do. Souffle will find the third and final kill for his round. And we're back to one apiece.
Part of me was so worried for 7th Heaven, just seeing them double down on that roam. But boy, it really worked out. Just that roam picked Elevate to pieces. They didn't quite know what to do to deal with it. They stalled out a lot over from that small tower entrance, hanging out around dining in that shower's hallway, just trying to figure out a way to pinch into Pika on the kitchen. But in the meantime, they didn't know that Souffle was hanging out in Garage Classroom. He got that opening pick, and yeah, it actually snowballed in favor of 7th Heaven this time. Great job from them executing that double down, so to speak. And I just noticed they've gone kitchen meeting, Matic.
Yep. Yeah, I was waiting for when we were going to see something even more spicy from 7th Heaven, and this is it. A sight that we see not all that often here in APAC South, we're being completely honest. Generally, we're seeing dining being held, the extension into showers, and, you know, the more common holds. This time, 7th Heaven, definitely not so much. And I am so curious as to what I'm seeing right now, Raven. Okay. I love it.
Yeah, nice little extension below. So it looks like they might just try and... They could play the hatch. You know, you could lob a C4 up there for the plant tonight. Could be one instance that you would use that.
5 seconds to
I don't know. I like it. We'll see how it plays out. I'm liking the use of the castle as well. Have they... Didn't look like they'd reinforced stage wall. So that,
what was that, sorry?
Could be... Stage wall is not reinforced. Here we go. Okay, it's getting done now. I was like, is this part of the strat?
They're just baiting you. They're just baiting you. So that's all right. Kaid with the claw now, whether they're holding up as well, looks like they may well be. Elevate are looking to clear from that bottom side in. Could this, I mean, dare say this wouldn't be a bait. Surely they've already seen it. But it is going to be incredibly hard for Elevate to be able to deal with 3 floors of pressure. But just like that, wow, what an explosion into blue. They've just got to be cautious now. DCH has been caught out. My goodness, Raven. Elevate have just tried to push back 7th Heaven, and in fact, they're on the receiving end of it.
I'm starting to question if they actually have been baited here, because they look like they're going to open that bunker elbow. I don't know. Let's just see what they do with these drones, but this looks like it might be a massive play from 7th Heaven here. And just that angle from the hatch, so well utilized by Spirited.
Now we're going to see real issues start to occur here. DCH, who has been an absolute animal, goes down, and Rage is making matters worse. My God, 7th Heaven off to an incredible start here on Oregon. Mind you, that's all 3 opening picks given to the dark horse of the entire league.
Absolutely crazy. Great start on this defense, and such a great strat so far that we've had from 7th. So Elevator only just now trying to get this attic wall open with Maverick. Still over a minute to play. They are down 2 men, so it's going to be a tough situation. There's still time on the board. They definitely can do this, but 7th have put themselves in such a great spot.
Talking about being in a great spot, Spirited here with the shotgun. All he's got to do is hit the initial shot and it'll be all over for Elevate. But hitting that, it is going to cause quite the confusion. Oh. Just like that, Spirited pushes directly in an APU's direction, and there's nothing he can do about that. They are starting to open up lines, but Raven, 30 seconds, there's surely not enough time here.
Not when they're down 3 men as well. It's definitely going to be tough, but they're going to have to try and make something happen. They now have the access in through the stage wall, but Pika, he gets angry. This may even be a flawless round here.
10 seconds left.
Wow, my goodness, Sapper may just be given a kill or 2 free, still stuck in the corner, but that is utter dominance here from 7th Heaven, and you absolutely love to see that really early on here, making their presence known on Oregon.
Making their presence known indeed, on top of just such a 2 pretty ballsy roams in those first couple of rounds defending dorms. Talk about a really out there strat, I would say, for that meeting kitchen hold. That was just... I'm still just thinking about the start of that round where they had the extension down below and Elevate pushed 3 people through it, absolute to their doom as well. I can't help but wonder, Manic, whether Elevate were baited into attacking the bottom side. I'm just really not sure.
I mean, it's what it looked like, right? There were 3 players who were really pushing forward there, and I mean, dramatic, I think, is probably the best way of putting it. Kind of seeing, you know, Titans fall to teams that we really thought had no chance and no real no business being so far up in the standings, and yet they continue to surprise us. Seventh Heaven have been that team from start to finish, kickstarting against their match against Order. It has really been consistently showing insane performances, and you know, even further to that point, Spirited, who came in, I can't even remember who it was to replace now, it's been so long. Sino, I think it was, who he replaced. In all honesty, he has been phenomenal for Seventh Heaven, and everything have just seemed to go right since he's kind of joined in with the muck, if you will.
Yeah, look, he had a shaky first game when he joined in, but he earned himself a bit of a reputation as a clutch master. He had multiple 1vx clutches in that game that really saved Seventh Heaven from losing regulation. You know, Knights were on track to win that one 7-0, if I cast my mind back. He got them back into the game. He also got them into overtime. So he really has become a great solid backline, so to speak, for Seventh Heaven.
I will say this, I'm going to start a petition for every round for us to only be shown Pecan, because that guy, just a point of view for the first like full minute of the round, I just want to see him, because it's just one of those things where every single time it seems like either him or Souffle are just in the most precarious of positions and continue to find the attacking team off. It's wild. But you know what? We can kind of move on from that, and we can start to set our eyes further into this round so far. It is that basement defense that we see oh so favored in this region. For now, though, it's been relatively quiet. Actually, it's been extremely quiet, I should say.
Yeah, but we might see an engagement soon, though. Souffle is deciding to not peek out that doorway. I would not have put it past him to have instantly peeked out as soon as that was shot down, but Elevate taking not much time at all to get the info down into Freezer here, and to take early map control if they can. Gemini is going to get lots of info on these positions.
And now it's just about capitalizing on that information, which always seems to be the hardest part. But it doesn't look like Elevate are in any rush to do so just yet. Waiting for that cheeky little jump on the box in Freezer. And I mean, look, if you are hard scoped, if you're watching that direction, you may well find something here. Seventh Heaven, though, still just running around wildly. There's no pressure from Blue right now. And with that barricade still up, Elevate have to technically take that down before they even need to put any attention across there. So this is going to look really dangerous as we see a little bit more of an attack from Napiu into Freezer. And the off angle does not catch him off. In fact, Napiu continuing to push. There comes the adrenaline boost. And just like that, a double opening, and Seventh Heaven are left flailing.
Yeah, really caught sleeping in that hallway, but Spirit has finally traded one back, and Pika actually evens it out.
What?
Oh, some sharp shots from Pika. He's actually brought the man advantage back into favor for Seventh Heaven, and now 30 seconds. Elevate have to try and get this attack going.
Now there goes the smoke. So there goes the delay that we generally see come in. And with Onigiri now, they're going to have to attack from both Laundry and Freezer. Angry is currently somewhat stuck. And Onigiri just making it around the corner, continues to push in further. Nice pick from Angry, and Onigiri will close it out. Pika trying to be a little bit cheeky there in the prone position, but it doesn't work to any avail. And, I mean, just what a back and forth round again, Raven.
Yeah, it was. At one stage there, I was like, yeah, this is great time management and some good entries from Elevate. And then it felt like 7th Heaven on the back of Pika had brought that back. And I was like, oh, Onigiri and Angry are so split up, so there's no way. But again, Elevate just pulled that out of nowhere. And scoreline very reflective of how this matchup feels right now. 2-2. Feels like it's going to be a very tight game. Maybe we'll see OT.
I mean, okay. If we do see OT, this could technically leave the championship, the champions of stage 1 up in the air for Elevate, especially if they end up losing in OT and only gain that 1 point. There's so many outcomes right now, and I think we'll probably leave it to the desk to talk about a little bit more, because they'll be sitting there, they'll be able to theory craft on what's going to happen. But essentially, if you weren't here in the pre-show, all you need to know is pretty much every single game here has weight. Every team still has a chance to make playoffs. It's a little bit different for, the opportunity to come first in APAC South. It does seem to lend more into either, Knights or Elevate, as they are the front runners right now, but still
10 seconds remaining.
very, very close. And as we keep our eye on this game in particular, the two massive storylines right now is 7th Heaven's entire campaign so far has just been phenomenal. And they are playing for a spot in playoffs. I think Xenox, the stat master, has said that 12 points secure you playoffs, 11 points will get you there, pending other results. So both teams are actually pushing for something quite dramatic in terms of stage 1.
And in particular, of course, it's always good to make playoffs, but I think in particular, 7th Heaven, a team that, as we've alluded to already, we didn't really expect them to be in the playoff picture, but here they are, a chance to actually make the stage 1 APAC playoffs. It's a huge opportunity for them, and to get a win over Elevate tonight, to get there, to at least put them in the best position to get there, would be a massive deal. So, see if they can make it happen. Onigiri is hunting on this roam. This first minute has been very uneventful, though. Just a lot of intel gathering from Elevate. Not quite as swift as the previous round, but now they're trying to start to push down Freezer and get this control again.
It's one thing for 7th Heaven. Their basement defense doesn't show a lot of aggression on that first or second floor across the western side of the map, which we have been so used to seeing from them. So it doesn't really lend into that too much. Ray playing on the back of rear stage at the moment. Nice early pick here. ED goes down. Now, with that Valk, I don't think we really spoke about that yet. As long as 7th Heaven don't throw too many bodies early on, depending on where those cams are, I just suggest they're going to be down below. They will be able to find a lot of information in that late part of the round. So they just need to hold on and keep Elevate at bay.
What they do in Souffle actually could get potential double with that C4. In fact, it doesn't hit either of them, or DCH loses half his HP. Really could have been more fruitful for 7th Heaven. He's just toying with these players in Freezer. Missed his opportunity earlier. I feel like this is such a pivotal opening pick right now, and Elevate are starting to really choke around 7th Heaven.
Oh, Souffle! Oh, why does that not surprise me? He can cast around a corner in Freezer trying to fight two bodies at once. And this Finker being a mainstay in the last attack, and now this one too. Pika can't find the angle onto Sapper, and it's starting to fall apart here. Just what we needed for Elevate. Spirited decides to go a little bit more aggressive here, and with 10 seconds left, I just cannot imagine 7th Heaven being able to pull this back, Raven.
Would be a very big clutch from Ray, and he's got 4 to find. Plant has been confirmed, so of course he's now got the clock moving against him. He has found Onigiri, so that's one. But just time, really not his best friend right now.
Just sitting back patiently here, Elevate. This is what we needed to see from them in this position. You don't want to give anyone their ones, especially a team like 7th Heaven, that consistently roll off of the momentum. And just like that, Elevate have bounced back into the lead for the first time since the first round.
Yeah, laundry supply just not working out for 7th Heaven at all. So I'd expect they'll just rotate off that now. No point really giving it another crack. Doesn't seem like it's worked out. And no, they're going to go back to dorms, which was 50-50 for them. You know, they lost round 1, but they doubled down on what they tried in round 1 besides the Tachanka at least. And that worked out very well. So look, if they managed to get a 3-3 half, I think that's good. But I feel like Elevate will probably be even more happy with that, given that it's their attack half. And generally, you would expect a defense half in Oregon, you know, roughly to be a 4-2 would be the benchmark.
I guess what we can look forward to is this second half, regardless of how Elevate play their defense. We saw from 7th Heaven last week against Giants look incredibly strong on their attacking side, so don't want to discredit or discount anything that may still happen, but it does feel like Elevate have really started to gain that momentum back. Raven, please tell me if I'm wrong here, but it didn't really look like 7th Heaven changed anything on that last defense, considering how overwhelmed they were by Elevate. And I don't know, maybe it was all too easy for Elevate. It kind of looked stock standard for them.
Yeah, I think that's just something 7th Heaven have appeared to do pretty consistently, is they stick to their strats and they just maybe try and make small adjustments to playstyle, but I believe that was probably to their detriment because, yeah, Elevate did look comfortable in those attacks. Freezer control was all too easy for them. And that being said, 7th Heaven did try to put up a fight. They just weren't making the impact. Big deal for me was Souffle. Just he didn't hit some shots that he really needed to hit early in the Freezer entry from Elevate, but also the C4 didn't get anything fruitful either. So just some missed opportunities could have changed that round.
Souffle now being tracked, and he will most likely have to back away, but I mean, it depends on what Elevate want to do here. They could completely isolate him. From what I am aware, they have no rotate back into Attic, and it does look like he's tried to bait Napiu into thinking that maybe he's gone toward meeting, maybe even to kitchen, but Napiu not biting yet. And in all honesty, this roam game from 7th Heaven on this kids' dorm attack defense has been phenomenal, and it's just wasting so much time from Elevate's perspective.
Yeah, it is. You know, almost half the round, in fact. And I don't blame Elevate for being more cautious, but caution to the wind to throw Pika to the floor. It's a good start for Elevate now, and Pika was such a strong player in the successful defense of Dorms. So good start now for Elevate, but time could come back to bite them.
That's it. As it slowly ticks away here, Souffle is just going to sit and watch Napiu's rotate back toward lobby, but now they're starting to make some good progression. They have that, I believe that is a crouch hole that Sap has been able to make into games there, but Spirit is playing close on the angle and using those smoke waves quite early here. He may as well play quite aggressive with that shotgun and wait for the contact. Napiu with a double opening. That's massive, and now it's really going to put the pressure on, but Spirited up close and personal with that shotgun is not something you want to be faced with. However, it's starting to crumble now, Raven. It's a 2 versus 4.
Yeah, got a little too excited and overpeaked, but time will still be in the side of 7th Heaven. Ray hanging around in this roam. He could play vertical into Classroom here, but decides to push through. Does find Napiu, so still 7th Heaven holding on here.
Quite early trying to dismiss the Goyo shield. That's the diffuser down. ED continues to swing. And DCH, who has had a massive season thus far, needs to step up once more from Elevate. But Raid rotating in a game. Surely this isn't possible. No information on him whatsoever. Tries to rotate to White Stairs. And 7th Heaven round out the first half 3-3.
Scared me, man, when 7th Heaven, they lost their crossfire, and I was definitely concerned that those 2 1v1s were going to go in Elevate's favor, but they held on. And speaking of holding on, you know, they were down 2 men at one stage. It was a 3v5. I think it went to a 2v4, and then they brought it back beautifully. ED got that double. Love to see that, and what a great first half. It's really set the pace for this match now. And as I said, you know, we see a 3-3. feels like it's very justified for where the match is. I feel like it's kind of in favor of Elevate. Like, by all fairness, they probably should excel on their defenses. But, you know, we saw 7th Heaven actually excel on their attacks with Chalet. Maybe they can pull some of that out here for Oregon.
Well, from the desk's perspective, the analysts, we call them, they were feeling as though coming to Oregon was going to heavily favor Elevate. And thus far, I mean, I can't make the case for either direction. You know, for as good as 7th Heaven had looked on a couple of those Dorms defenses, their basement holds were lacking, to say the very least. And so, you know, as we move into this one now, really comes down to what Elevate can pull out on their defensive half, because 7th Heaven are going to hit their shots. You know that is a fact. And so minimizing those easier contacts, those more dry runs is probably the utmost importance that you would have if you're the Elevate roster. And curious now, we didn't see Elevate we didn't see Elevate attack Blue once on both those basement defenses. So obviously 7th Heaven may well approach in a very different manner.
And that's where I say the bans probably do have an impact in terms of how these attacks play out. If you don't have Wamai on the board, it really is trickier to extend into that bunker elbow. Now, Elevate are doing that, but it's tougher to hold. You've only got the ADSs. They're a lot simpler to burn, and then you'll be able to clear those shields. So see how 7th Heaven try to approach this. It looks like, again, they're not going to be doing a bunker clear. It looks like they're going to be taking the map. Probably trying to push down Freezer or Laundry or something to the effect.
Somewhat similar, for now anyway. So that blue extension with Onigiri on the smoke may actually come back to play dividends as long as he remains with those 3 smoke babes in hand. Could just rotate the site, continue to hold Freezer a while longer, put the pressure down to Laundry. So many possibilities here now. And not as much information as what we've seen in the past with that Gemini, but still, they'll know that the immediate Freezer is clear. And on the back of that drone, they've got a lot more information to play with.
They do. And they've got some pretty decent map control right now. ED has finally made a move down into Freezer. Looks like they are favoring totally not pushing Blue at all. It is going to be just Freezer and Laundry. To see how Elevate adapts their attack right now. That is a good aggressive shield in the rotate area. It's going to make it really tough for 7th Heaven to try to push past this corner in Freezer.
Looks like Pecan might actually be the player to try and get into position here to maybe dismiss that use of the shield. What's this going to look like? The smoke comes in deep, so it kind of negates Napier here, but what you still need to be cautious of, if DCH and Sap are both on these aggressive lines, Napier goes down in the aggressive swing. That's what we were talking about from DCH. It is now once more him in that exact aggressive position. Oh, Pecan's given his position away, but it won't make a difference. It's down to the 2-on-3, but 7th Heaven with very little HP, Raven.
Yeah, that HP is really going to come back to bite them, and they push through. It's all on Angry X's shoulders, though. And Pika, he steps up yet again for 7th Heaven and gets them their first attack round. That was so back and forth, Manic. I really didn't know which way the round was going to go, but Pika proving he is an attack monster.
Genuinely, that was just a dogfight on site. I really, honestly could not tell you what happened after we saw the Zofia push into Laundry. It just went bang, Napier was swinging. We saw Onigiri holding firm, trying to hold with the smoke babes. Didn't happen. DCH got caught out in Freezer. It's just an absolute cluster of a round. And we are going to reattempt that basement hold from Elevate. They feel like they know what went wrong. Now, I'm not sure whether Alibi had actually moved that. I heard an audio cue, and I don't know whether it was the shield going down to face that player in Freezer late, but that's what it sounded like to me. So if it was, really Quite an intelligent play from Elevate to get into that position. Unfortunately, not paying off in this occasion, but it's one of those things that we just see time and time again from Elevate is their ability to adapt on the fly. So most definitely keep that in mind. And it's something that you know for a fact 7th Heaven are going to be aware of.
I think strategically, Elevate did probably the best they could do. I mean, there was probably some micro things that they could have changed, but I think what that came down to is, like you said, it did become just quite a dogfight on site in that final 30 seconds. And 7th Heaven just came out on top. Pika, I think, got a triple in that 30-second window. That really was just a big difference. But on top of that, to credit 7th Heaven, the attack was pretty well executed. They had a great little stack coming in through Laundry. They smoked off that line of sight beautifully from Freezer to facilitate both parties to kind of like swing out to the defenders they were attacking on. So hats off to them, but I think that was just a display of two good teams just having straight up gunfights.
Yeah. Yep. Valid. And I think one thing I'm really enjoying from DCH, okay, I'm just going to continue on the back of that comment. Ray manages to win that fight out. One thing he needs to be cautious of is there's a player still over in Armory. And Sap is going to get a fair bit of information here. Napiu, I believe, down in basement, or is that in meeting? Oh, look at that information. Oh, that's a free kill if I've ever seen one. Bada bim, bada boom. See you later, Pika. You have been benched for this round.
Yeah, really poor from 7th Heaven not joining ahead enough. Also, Ray with the Jackal, he got as close as that Armory default camera. Guess he didn't feel like pulling his visor out, so didn't see that there were footprints leading in there. So yeah, bit of an oversight from 7th Heaven. Good play from Sapper. Dare say though, he's pretty stuck here. ED is out at the lobby door, can catch that rotate. Ray can also catch the rotate if he was to push deeper. So if I'm Sapper, hang out in the corner, just get the info, call it out. That's it.
Well, that's the thing right now is there's just so much time for him to still burn. Ray's going to try to pinch him from the other side. Unfortunately, oh, hang on. Did he hit that? Surely he did not down ED. That would have been absolutely wild. I think that's exactly what's happened there. Onigiri, what are you doing, you cheeky little snake in the grass?
I feel like that just summarizes this round pretty well. I think Elevate were pretty keen to get aggressive on that roam and try and destabilize 7th early. You could say it's worked. It has burned off a lot of time. 45 seconds and a man disadvantage though. It still feels pretty even.
Yeah.
But it really just depends. 7th Heaven need to get their skates on and start putting some pressure on these side players.
It's what you would consider an eye for an eye, I guess. And when we look at the health department, definitely lacking for 7th Heaven. But one more crosshair is one crosshair that Elevate need to deal with. And right now, the smokes are going to come out. There's 20 seconds. And with how close Angry is, he could go nuclear. Onigiri, aggressive in Laundry as well. This could well and truly disable the push. But beautiful trades from 7th Heaven if they bring it back into a 2-on-1. Angry still undetected in the smoke here. He could go massive right behind them. He's going to be able to deny this. See you later. That's the round Elevate needed. And a cheeky round from Angry nets another one for Elevate.
It does, and somehow, I can't believe I'm going to say it, but somehow it was Elevate with the team holding on to that round. Again, 7th Heaven are just doing such a good job in these really squirmy last-minute executes to come out on top in the frag department. Even with that low HP, I cannot believe that Elevate weren't able to down those two players instantly to make it to 2v2, but it's what it is. And 7th Heaven, I guess, just not quite thorough enough, allowing those Elevate players to skate around. And again, 4-4. It is so hard to separate these teams in this match right now.
Well, here's the good thing is 7th Heaven you wouldn't really say that they're known for their due diligence in most of their attacks. So that will always be a seeping factor for Elevate to play off. But, you definitely are not going to take anything away from 7th Heaven in that round. They still managed to really take down those roamers with enough time to approach the site. And what I was touching on right before we saw the contact from Ray onto DCH in dorms was the fact that we're seeing, at least for Seventh Heaven, a fair bit of play with just smoke grenades, you know, covering lines of sight, which we just haven't really seen for a while due to, you know, the old meta was the ADSs, the Wamaya magnets. You'd have to bring all your flashes and you'd have to just be yeeting them in to burn through them. But the smokes are now becoming a much bigger factor. In the round prior in their basement attack, that was what allowed Napier to it's what forced Napier to play aggressively and allowed Seventh Heaven to continue progressing in Freezer. And in that round, it was a double-edged sword. Angry hid in the smoke that, from what I'm aware, ED threw to cover the pillar drop. And then from there, it's, you know, it's just cheeky. I like it. I'm happy to see some different styles of play now. Speaking of, we are going to see dorms for the first time attempted by Elevates.
We are. So Seventh Heaven are going to have to be diligent in the way this is played out because, again, it looks like Elevator set up a couple of traps. I saw an interesting little Goyo shield over in Trophy. DCH playing behind that one. But the good thing from Seventh Heaven is they are taking no time at all to get this attic control. Using the Maverick to do so. Starting to do this burn on the utility at attic. And, you know, that Goyo shield's going to perfectly stop anybody from peeking this Maverick to get the wall open. So, yeah, first 90 seconds. Pretty good start for Seventh Heaven.
That's what you'd like to see. Definitely now with still the at least one Goyo shield and one deployable shield from Napier. They still have two up and will allow them to play from the cheekiest of angles. Pika making his way into Armory may well have just forced him back from the Goyo shield there. So it has done. And that Goyo shield is actually in a really awkward place to try and shoot from either side. You'd have to swing the doorway. Granted, no one right now from Seventh Heaven is actually watching that line. But it is something that we will need to be cautious of. And there it goes. Bang. Souffle not dealing with that.
Yeah, it's definitely something that had to be dealt with early, though, because you don't want to have to try and do that in the last 30 seconds, have it deny your push. But right now, this has really been some good progress from Seventh Heaven. Now, Napier is on a pretty big flank right now. It's just a matter of whether Seventh Heaven catch this. They seem aware of it, but he gets the shot onto Pika. It's the fragger for Seventh Heaven off the board. And now with only 30 seconds, Elevate have got themselves in a great position.
Oh, rightio, shooting that out of the sky. DCH can't win the round onto ED. As now in comes the utility. You still need to keep an eye on Napier. I think he's come up from the white stairs now. ED's just going to try to hold. Once again, the smokes allow Seventh Heaven to get on site. Sapper denies it in time, but two quick trades from Seventh Heaven. It's now on to Angry and Napier. Once again, the smokes playing a factor. Napier goes massive with Angry on his side. Ray cannot get anything done. Surely he would have to find the final player, and it cannot work out. Elevate. A scrappy round, but a round nonetheless, and they go 5-4.
Full credit to Elevate. In terms of, they are just taking advantage of these smokes themselves. I think it's great from Seventh Heaven, some of their utilization of this utility. It's enabling them to actually get into these plan attempts, and they're so close to getting that confirmed. It would have been a different round if they did get that confirmed, but Elevator just using it to their advantage. They're slipping around and it's stopping Seventh Heaven of keeping tabs of where these Elevate players are. It's creating this chaotic nightmare to try and cover. But man, I just can't get over this game. Such close rounds. I feel like, I haven't been keeping track of it, but I feel like almost every round has been some degree of 1v1s at the end. I think just maybe two maximum have been close to flawless. Yeah. It's close, man.
I'm loving it, Raven. This is like, you know, it's coming down to it. I mean, I'm looking back at my notes, and most of these are coming down to, like you said, a chaotic nightmare. But I'll tell you one thing: it's a play-by-play's dream, and we're seeing it so much more this season, and I am loving it. I know it may not be the cleanest of Siege. It may not be methodical like we're used to, but boy, oh boy, it is certainly entertaining to say the very least. And I mean, both of these teams are the kind of team that play into that style, right? We've seen Elevate previously, Xavier, for so long just be that aggressive team that consistently keeps teams on their toes. And now they are in the meta where they thrive, and clearly that is showing. Now we are going back to meeting, Raven. A big one. We so far have not seen a dining defense.
No, we haven't. Yeah, kitchen meeting has been the side of choice, or the third side of choice. It was successful for 7th Heaven in round 3. It was their only attempt of it. And this will be Elevate's only attempt if they win it, because it'll be locked out for the rest of the half. But see whether it's successful for them or not. And 7th Heaven looking to push through dining. And this could be the play from Ray. You know, if they get enough info onto these Elevate players, there's at least 2 in kitchen. He may be able to catch.
That's the problem is, right, it's give with one, take with the other. They do have now the line into attic open, which will allow them to dismiss that mute jammer that is on the meeting wall. And of course, one of the big aspects is being able to put the pressure from rear stage onto site. Right now, there's no immediate pressure to Elevate's hold. ED trying to close in DCH at the moment, could get caught out. It's actually Napier who falls first, but once again, still revivable, so it's not the biggest of concerns. It is something that 7th Heaven will want to capitalize on.
Oh, Pika just ran straight into dorms. Not sure whether he was trying to go for this gunfight with DCH, but that was completely uncontested in the end. Ray trying to see if he can confirm this kill onto Napier. He has been revived, but he's low. DCH finally traded back. Still a minute on the board for 7th Heaven. It's been a pretty good attack so far. They should have this vertical control now, which is going to be all crucial. Still going to have to be careful of C4s below, and Sapper in particular on that pulse is going to be getting this info.
Now I'm pretty sure Souffle would have actually heard that C4 come up through the floor. He would have heard the C4 rip. Ray looking for a bit of contact once again at the kitchen door. Things are getting a little bit awkward right now. 7th Heaven are completely separated and isolated from each other. It is going to most likely come down to some 1v1s once more. There's still 4 smoke grenades in use for 7th Heaven. We've seen how impactful they've been, but for both teams. And with 15 seconds left, you know 7th Heaven, they're about to get a move on, and it's going to come down to it. Spirited opens the bank account, but Sapper trades quickly. Angry and Sapper just holding the meeting. This isn't possible for 7th Heaven. Sapper continues to push in. And it's once again down to the wire, but this time it is a lot more clear-cut for Elevate.
That it is. Just well-timed on those pushes from Elevate. Didn't overextend until that last 5 seconds. Really well played from them. 7th Heaven just not giving themselves enough of an opening to try and get that execute to work. So here they are. They now face match point. It's the first time, I think, in the whole map that a team has had two-round buffer for a lead. Pretty significant here for Elevate, on top of the fact that Elevate has banked a point now at least.
Yes.
So 7th Heaven, yeah, they got 2 rounds they need to be perfect on.
This is the big thing right now. This is 3 rounds straight for Elevate. They've gone basement, they've gone dorms, and they've gone meeting, which is a concern for 7th Heaven nonetheless. Regardless of map point or not, they've really needed that last round just to break momentum, if nothing. And now Sapper going to be bringing that clash is just going to cause so many problems for 7th Heaven. We've seen them struggle to take the fights on site, and I think that this is just going to make matters worse, Raven.
Could do. It could do. We'll see what they just do to deal with it. Laundry supply, you know, it's the only attack they actually won in this half, 7th Heaven. It was the first round of the half as well, round number 7. So I guess they can hold some level of confidence in that, but you're right, the clash does change things up pretty significantly. So they don't get the early info on it. Or deal with it early enough. You know, it can be so tough to try and get an execute happening when the clash is up in your face.
Well, as of right now, we can confirm that Elevate have put themselves into the best possible place. Hang on, hold the phone for a second. Okay, the best possible place to be stage champions at this point. You know, map point, they've got, at least they've got 1 point. No matter what happens from here on out, they've got 1 point. And that is the big thing. They are setting themselves up so nicely here. They have been well and truly the most consistent team of the entire stage, or at least I would believe. They've really only lost one map, but every other win they've taken has been clean in regular time. So certainly one thing to keep in mind and to remember about this team is they really haven't been dropping many points.
Speaking of dropping, oh my lord, ED is going to be dropping to Napier. Absolutely elusive on this roam. Just looked like ED had no idea at all that he was there. And that's just been the story, I think, of a lot of these Elevate defenses outside of round 7. They have been off-site so much more and hiding in these strange places, and 7th Heaven are letting them get away with it. It's now becoming very detrimental, and this is a round that we need 7th Heaven to win. They need to win this to stay in this match. Otherwise, yeah, it's GG.
Now, I don't actually know what ED had left in terms of the X-Kairos, so that one's going to be tough. And there we go, once again. I love to see the old mute plays come in on top of the laundry washing machine. Now, how many of these hatches have been opened? We know for a fact that Freezer is open right now. Lobby still not done. And there we go. Meeting has just been finished off by Spirited. 50 seconds in the bank, Raven. Is that enough time for what 7th Heaven really need to achieve with that clash on the board, mind you?
I think it's going to be difficult, but a good read from them is to potentially not attack from the pillar direction. You know, not drop the electrical hatch as they did last time. Try and get some clearance this side, but it's going to rely a lot on 7th Heaven getting the pick in Freezer, and Napier getting that on Pika. It's going to make it all that more tougher.
Oh, God, this is an absolute onslaught from Elevate right now. They are putting on a clinic. They are putting on a show here as they manage to close it out in a flawless round. Elevate have put themselves in the best possible position to be the stage champions for Stage 1 of the APAC South Division.
It was really well played from Elevate. I felt like after the first round of 7th Heaven being successful that it was going to be tough to the end, but Elevate adapted to 7th Heaven's attacks so well, and then that was it. That was basically the end of the game. As soon as Elevate adapted, they stayed on top and held strong.
4 rounds straight, Raven. That's what we needed to see from them. We knew 7th Heaven coming into this. They were definitely the underdog. They were definitely the least likely of the two to take this win, but very